Alright, so yesterday we learned about standard form. Standard form is when x and y are on the same side. Ax and by are your variable terms and c is your constant. We use standard form to find what?
The x and y intercepts.
X and y intercepts. Good. Take a point. Those are also known as zeros. Now, when we are finding our y-intercept, what does x equal?
0.
Good. If we are finding our x-intercept, what does y equal?
0.
No. But it would be so lovely if you'd stop talking while I'm trying to teach. Thank you. Alright, so let's flip it over on the back. We're going to work out one problem, and then we're going to start today's lesson. Is everybody ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, we're going to say 5x plus 8y equals 20. 5x plus 8y equals 20. Now, this is in standard form because x and y are on the same side. Since it's in standard form, we are going to find our x and y intercepts. Let's start with our x-intercept. What do we know every single time about our x-intercepts? Y equals 0. Good. Take a point. Alright, so then we say 5x plus 8 times what? 0 equals what?
20.
Fantastic. What's 8 times 0? 0. So that cancels, and you're left with 5x equals 20. And x equals 4. So what's my coordinate for my x-intercept?
4.
Questions, comments, gripes, complaints so far? Does everybody remember this from yesterday? Fantastic. Well, if you weren't here yesterday, what are you supposed to do? Okay. Alright, now let's find our y-intercept. For our y-intercept, what do we know is true?
0.
X equals 0 every single time. Good. Take a point. So we write it as 5 times what? 0. Plus 8y equals 20. Alright, what's 5 times 0?
0.
And you get 8y equals 20. And what is 20 divided by 8?
2.5.
It's what?
2.5.
Okay.
Sorry.
So what is our y-intercept?
0. 2.5.
No, I understood what you meant by 2.5. I just was dividing weird in my head, and that's not what I was getting. It was me. Does anybody have any questions?
So we can grab half of
Yes, because you just go right 2 and then a half more, or up 2 and then a half more. We can do that, right? Fantastic. And didn't we have those when we did our cat and our pumpkin and stuff?
Not cat.
I know, baby, but...
I see him up there. He got a problem
Okay.
going on. His leg.
Alright, does anybody have any questions on this? From those of us that were here yesterday? Yes, no, maybe so. Alright, Aldo, what's your... Stop.
No, I don't have a question.
Okay, Mason, do you have a question?
No, man. Well, actually, I do.
Okay.
You make a
Okay, never mind.
You just do the same thing every single time.
Gotcha.
Like, every single time you do the same thing. Right, children?
Right.
Fantastic. Now let's go to our table of contents. This is in our function unit still. Now we've done linear functions. We have graphed them. Please stop talking every time I ask you to go to a new page. Stop talking. So we have taken a verbal description and turned it into a table and graph. That's the first way we learn. We have looked at a table or a graph and determined which one to use. We have connected it all to function notation. We've talked about standard form. The next thing that we're going to learn
I think we're gonna go. What do we do with this?
We're going to put our foldable on it. Now, your foldables for today are in the top drawer of your tower. Everybody gets one. And if you have an extra, I need one, please.
We have a bunch of
Here you go. Here you go.
You got
Just
it.
binder clip it back to you and put it in the drawer. All right, please be quiet. Now, you have to cut out the circle. I need you to hold it up to make sure you cut all the way on the outside of both circles. Does everyone understand? No. All right, now, on your triangle, I want you to set it so it looks like the Deathly Hallows symbol. If you don't know what that is, just look at the board. So, like a life lesson. All right, then I want you to turn it over. It says fold here, so we're gluing this side down. Therefore, you're not going to fold backwards because we're gluing this side down. Does everyone understand? So you're going to fold this way.
Oh, I got you.
And then we're going to fold up. Because I'm a wizard.
No, how do you fold?
I can be whatever I want to be. How about that? How about my magical powers don't have gender stereotypes? And then I fold this one up. Bless you. All right, now, the one I want you to have on top that now, you're going to glue it down so that it looks like the Deathly Hallows symbol, so that it's straight up and down. You're going to fold it so that table is on the outside. That's the one we're starting with. So it's going to look like this when you glue it to your paper. Does everyone understand? Okay, then you fold the other sides, baby.
Like this. Isn't the Deathly Hallows from Harry Potter? That's me. Do you even get up and do it? Good.
All right, you have 30 seconds and I'm starting. 30 seconds and I'm starting. Now make sure you glue it down right. No, no one has any more tape. We're out of tape. If y'all want tape, you got to bring tape. Now glue it down. Okay, everybody listen one more time. I need you to be quiet and listen. Open your triangle up. On the inside, it should look like this. This is how you're going to glue it down so that the triangle is pointing up. Does everyone understand? Then you're going to fold it closed so that table is on top because that's what we're starting with. Does everyone understand? Now, I'm not repeating myself again. I'm writing down the learning target and then we are starting. I would suggest that you write down the learning target because once I finish, we're starting. Yep. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to find slope from a graph, a table, and 2 points. We're going to start by finding it on a table. Now, slope is the rate of change, correct? It's the rise then the run. We don't say rise over run because we don't use over in this classroom. You rise, then you run. Over doesn't tell you a direction. We're not cows. Is everyone ready? Now, let's look at our table. Now, slope is the change in x divided by the change in y because it's rate of change. And the way we write that is we write delta y, the change in y divided by the change in x. I got excited. We write delta y divided by delta x. Delta means change. So this is the change in y divided by the change in x. Now, what mathematical operation is change? If you get change back from the store, what did they do? They subtracted from what you gave them, right? They gave you money back. That's subtracting. So, slope is subtracting, then dividing. Does everyone understand? Now, on a table, you find the increase or decrease between two numbers, and you do it all the way down your table. So, are we increasing or decreasing on our y-axis? And how much do we increase between 0 and 10? Okay, what about 10 and 20? What about 20 and 30? Now, our goal is to make sure that our rate of change is the same. We want it to be the same straight down. That's what makes it a linear graph. And a linear graph is a line. Now, let's look at our x values. How much are we changing on our x between 0 and 2? 2 and 4? 4 and 6? Are those the same? Fantastic. This is linear, and that's what we want. Is everybody with me? Now, slope is always denoted by the letter M. I don't know why. It just is. Slope is M.
M equals 1x plus b. Mx plus b.
That's slope-intercept form. But I just told you right here that it's the change in y divided by the change in x, right? So what's our change in y? And what's our change in x? And what's 10 divided by 2? And boom, you're done.
That's pretty easy.
I have eggs.
Yes.
My dad, he told me it was something, it's something that goes with things.
That's cool. All right, please open this Flappy. We're going to write a new table on the inside. We're just waiting on Hufflepuff and Steven. Just let me know when y'all are ready. Is that why you've been talking the whole time? That's okay. You'll have a new seat tomorrow. Alright, X and Y. Alright, so now let's look at our change in Y. I would always start with Y. Are we increasing or decreasing for our Y values? Increasing. And how much do we increase between 3 and 6? 6 and 9? 9 and 12? Fantastic. Are those the same? So far, so good. What about on the x-axis? How much do we decrease between 4 and 0? So that's -4, 0 and negative 4? Negative 4 and negative 8? Are all of these the same? So it's linear. And that's what we want it to be. Please stop. Please stop. Now, our slope is the change in y divided by the change in x. So what is our change in y?
3.
And what's our change in x? Leave it as a fraction unless you can actually divide it. Leave it as a fraction. So is that a positive slope or a negative slope?
Negative.
It's a negative, so it would be going downhill. Is everybody ready to look at a graph?
Yes.
Wait.
We are. Okay.
Please close this flappy, and let's go to our graph. Now, on a graph, it's the rise, then the run. You rise, then run, which is the y divided by the x still. It's y divided by x still, because you have to rise out of your seat before you can run to the door, correct? Fantastic. So what you do first on a graph is you find where it crosses every grid point. So it crosses the first grid point down here at negative 4, negative 6. Can somebody find the next grid point? Owen?
4, 6.
Negative 2, negative 3.
Yes, negative 2, negative 3. What's the next one?
0, 0.
0, 0, and then another one.
3, 2, 3.
2, 3.
Oh, never.
Alright guys, it's your x first, then your y. Does everybody understand when you're naming it? It's x, then y. Yes, Stephen? Where it crosses a grid.
Oh, okay.
So a grid is where the two lines intersect. Know what I mean, Butterbean? Okay, now we're going to rise. I'm going to rise in pink and I'm going to run in green. So how many units do I rise from this point to here? 3 units. And then how many do I run? 2. Okay. How many do, let's do it again. We're making a staircase is what we're doing to find your slope. You make a staircase, okay? You're going up the stairs. So, how many do I rise again?
3.
And how many do I run?
2.
Let's do it again. How many do I rise?
3.
And how many do I run?
2.
Was it the same every time? And that's why it's linear. So what is our slope for this one?
3.
It's not over anything because we're not cows.
3 divided by
3 divided by 2.
It's not over. It's not over.
Does anyone, bless you, does anyone have any questions on the graph? Do we need to do another one?
I think I'm good.
We don't have another one on the inside, so if we're going to do another one, we got to be really creative. Okay, so now the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our equation. So you use the equation when you're given 2 points. Okay? You use the equation when you're given 2 points. Use when given 2 points. When you're given a table, you just find the difference between your x's and your y's. When you're given a graph, you do the staircase. But when you're given 2 points, you use the equation. Can anybody tell me what the equation is? And no, it's not y equals mx plus b. And what does delta mean? What does change mean? Y'all were there. We're getting there.
Subtraction.
It means subtracting. And if I give you 2 points, what are you going to do with your y's?
Oh, you're going to subtract them.
You're going to subtract them. So it's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1.
I know this one, Miss Asbury.
I'm so proud. Okay, so now you use this when you're given 2 points. If I write the point 8, 2, and 6, 9, those are 2 points, and we're going to find the slope between them. If I give you 2 points, you find the slope using this formula. The first thing you do, potatoes, every time you label them first. So this is our first point, therefore it's x1, y1. This is our second point, so it's x2, y2. If we had a third point, what would it be?
X3, Y.
x3, y3. Fantastic. Is everybody with me? Are we sure?
Yes. Actually.
Are we sure? Okay. Now, then we plug it in. What's our y2? 9 minus, what's our y1? 2 divided by 6 minus 8. Is everybody with me on what we just did?
Yes.
Are we sure?
Yes.
Just wait. Please, just wait. Are you with me? Okay. Alright, then we do 9 minus 2, which is 6 minus 8, which is, and leave your answer as a fraction. Do not simplify the fraction. Do not divide those numbers. Leave it as a fraction. If this was an 8, then you could divide. But we can't divide those because we'll get a decimal. And when you have a slope, you want a fraction. You want to rise 7 and run -2. Does everybody understand? It is the rise, then the run. You want to leave it as a fraction. Leave as a fraction. Pardon? Yes, and I have to say it every single year, and I have to say it 45 times, and some of you will still divide and put a decimal, or you'll do a mixed number, and you can't with slope, because it's the rise, then the run, not rise and then a decimal. Does everyone understand? Now let's open this, and we're going to try one without me, okay? Alright, -3, -5, and 2, 9. Are we afraid just because it's negatives?
No.
No.
Not there. We are big children.
Because, well,
Well, some of us are.
if you need help, go ahead and write down the formula. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. I would love it if you would do that every time, then we won't get confused. Why are you making that face? You just label. And then you plug in. Yes.
It's not supposed to be. Why?
This is your first point, right?
Right.
So this is x1, y1. This is your second point, right? So this is x2, y2. Okay.
Difficult, guys.
Let's be positive motivators, not insult people.
I wasn't a song.
Like, you can do it.
You can do it, also.
Yes.
9 minus -9.
Yes. Alright, did everybody get this?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And your negatives change your signs, right?
Yes. Yes.
Minus a negative you add, so it's 9 plus 5.
14.
And what's 2 plus 3?
5.
And do we leave it?
Yes.
Dun 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 dun!
I got it right. Because the negative
What?
plus the negative.
Because it's minus the negative.
It's 9
Yes. Oh, be careful of that. Okay, let's do one more because that was a struggle just watching you.
Can I do this? I do this by myself.
Then write it on your paper. Well, you see how we attached it to a piece of paper? Look at me problem solving like I know what's happening. If you need to write it out here, write it right here, okay? It's okay. We can do this. Well. Okay, my point is going to be -4, 7, and -6, 5. And we're going to do this one together. Okay, can you try fast? Because we got other stuff to do. Go. -4, 7, -6, 5. You have 1 minute.
Don't give other people high fives.
He's talking to you, not me, because he would not tell me what to do. Did you get 1? Yes. Woo! So proud. If you can actually divide the numbers, you can, because I get a whole number, right?
Okay, so.
Yeah.
You can do it in your head.
Pardon?
You do it in our
Yes, this is not complicated. Okay, so now let's open our triangles and look on the inside. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what kind of slopes lines create based on which way they're leaning. Now, you always start on the left side of your graph. So we're going to start with this line right here, the one I'm highlighting in pink. Stop. Now, start on the left side of your graph, and we have a little person here. Okay? Now, that person starting on the left side, are they going to have to hike up or fall down? So that means that this is a positive slope. So all lines that you hike up have a positive slope. So keep that in mind when you're working out your problems. Does everybody understand?
Yes.
Okay? Now, my little person is over here. They've made it to the top of the mountain. And it's this green line on the right-hand side. If they're up here, are they going to be climbing up from the left side, or are they going to fall down into the Valley of Chocolate? So this is a negative slope. Now, we're not done. I just took a breath to breathe. Now, this line right here, we have a chick that's just coasting along down here. She just wants to hang out on the valley. She's got long, flowy hair. And she's just running straight across. Did she go up or down any? So this is a 0 slope. She had no incline. That's a 0 slope. So if it's slanting to the right, that's a positive. If it's slanting to the left, that's a negative. If it is a horizontal line, that's a 0. And if you have one of those freak people who like to rock climb and like climb up the El Capitan, you know what I'm talking about? And they just like sleep on the side, those freak people, and they poop in like chutes and anyway. So it's a person and they're just like rock climbing right here. That is an undefined slope. So vertical lines are undefined slope, and that's what happens when you divide by 0. UNDEFINED. Undefined. Now, your homework for tonight, you have 2 things. Each of you has 10 problems that you have to do, and you have a maze. Now, one of you is going to do the left side of the sheet, and one of you is going to do the right side of the sheet, and then tomorrow we're going to come back and compare and make sure we got the correct answer, okay? in the top drawer of your tower is your maze. You decide with the person at your table whether you're going to do the left or the right.